Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Munman Bhattacharya. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Putin vows Russia will keep testing a new missile in combat. Ukraine's Zelensky calls use of missiles a severe escalation. Sentencing in Donald Trump's hush money case postponed indefinitely, a legal win for US President-elect as he prepares to enter the White House again. Counting of votes for state assembly elections in India's Jharkhand and Maharashtra today. Results of by-polls held across 48 assembly seats and 2 parliamentary constituencies also to be announced. And in sports, after staging a sensational comeback on day 1 of the Perth Test, India will aim to continue the same brilliance against Australia on day 2. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday announced Russia would continue testing the hypersonic Oryshnik missile, and this was launched by Ukraine, in fact at Ukraine the previous day, and initiate a mass production of the new missile system. Putin added that there are no countermeasures that exist for such a missile and no means of intercepting it are available anywhere in the world today. Further, he also emphasized that testing of this newest system will continue and the establishment of serial production is deemed necessary.
Yesterday, I informed the personnel of the armed forces, citizens of Russia, our allies around the world, as well as those who are trying to blackmail us with force about the newest Russian medium-range missile system. This is your complex, which you call Oryshnik. This is a ballistic missile in a non-nuclear hypersonic equipment. As we know from the analysis of objective control data, the tests were successful. And as has already been said, we will continue these tests, including in combat conditions, depending on the situation and the nature of the security threats that are created for Russia.
Ukraine's President Zelensky has meanwhile described Russia's use of the new missile as an escalation. He stated that meetings are already being held by the Minister of Defense of Ukraine with their partners regarding new air defense systems that are capable of protecting lives from new risks. He also emphasized the vigilance must be maintained by Ukrainians. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Russia's strike on Ukrainian city of Dnipro with a new intermediate-range missile has frightened Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. DD India's Abhishek Bose brings us more.
Ukraine's parliament cancelled its session on Friday over Russia's launching of an intercontinental ballistic missile on the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro. Russia said the strike on Ukraine was designed as a message to the West against its support to Ukraine. In a defiant message to the West, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Moscow has the right to strike countries whose weapons are used by Ukraine to hit Russian territory. He threatened that the prospect of further strikes depends on the actions of the United States and its satellites.
I repeat, the Oryshnik missile systems are being tested in combat conditions by us in response to the aggressive actions of NATO countries against Russia. The question of further deployment of medium-range and shorter-range missiles will be decided by us depending on the actions of the United States and its satellites.
Now, after Putin's warning to the West, Sweden said it will not be intimidated by Russia's provocations. Sweden also announced substantial funding to Ukraine for the procurement of long-range missiles and drones.
The Russian escalation and provocation, also that we've been noticing recently, is also an attempt to scare us to support Ukraine, and that will fail. The Swedish government is ready to contribute with substantial funding for the mass production of long-range missiles and drones. We will support the Ukraine defense industry by funding the procurement of these long-range missiles and drones.
Ukraine said it's increasing its air defense capabilities. Meanwhile, NATO and Ukraine will hold emergency talks next week after Russia's hypersonic ballistic missile attack that escalated nearly 33-month-old war. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
Updates on the West Asia conflict now. Fresh nighttime strikes pounded Beirut's southern suburb on Friday, shortly after the Israeli military issued evacuation warnings for 3 buildings in the area. Columns of smoke could be seen rising in at least 2 separate places over the district. Earlier on Friday, airstrikes on South Beirut demolished an 11-story building as Israel kept up its bombardment of strongholds of the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. According to the Lebanese Health Ministry, 5 Hezbollah-affiliated paramedics were killed in the strikes. Shifting focus now to the United States, the judge in Donald Trump's criminal hush money case on Friday delayed his sentencing indefinitely. The judge overseeing Donald Trump's criminal hush money trial has adjourned his sentencing, which was set for next Tuesday. The judge also granted Trump's request to file a motion to dismiss the case, ordering his legal team to submit their papers by the 2nd of December, and prosecutors have a week to respond. Trump was convicted in May this year on 34 felony counts involving hush money paid to an adult film star. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump continues to nominate allies for his new White House team. Trump picked prominent investor Scott Bessent to take on the role of the U.S. Treasury Secretary on Friday. Trump in a statement said Scott is widely respected as one of the world's foremost international investors and geopolitical and economic strategists. A longtime hedge fund manager, Bessent has publicly called for steep cuts to government spending. Bessent, like Trump, advocates tariffs, viewing them as a way to raise revenues and also protect American industries. Congresswoman Lori Chavez de Remer of Oregon also has been named by Trump to serve as his labor secretary. Trump said Chavez de Remer has worked tirelessly with business and labor to build the U.S. workforce and support Americans. Chavez de Remer, who was elected to the U.S. Congress in 2022, lost her seat to Democrat Janelle Bynum earlier this month. The Nicaraguan Parliament approved a constitutional reform on Friday that increases the power of President Daniel Ortega, his wife and vice president, and strengthens the authority of the police and military. The reform boosts the president's control over the media, extends the presidential term to 6 years, and designates the president and vice president as co-presidents. The wife of President Ortega, Rosario Murillo, will assume the position of co-president. Under the new structure, the co-presidents will control the legislature, the judiciary, electoral system, public administration, oversight bodies, and autonomous organizations. The reform also ensures that media outlets remain free from foreign influence and prevent the spread of false information. In weather news, a major storm moving through Northern California toppled trees and dropped record amounts of rain in Sonoma County. Relentless rainfall have also triggered flash floods, leading to road closures in several areas. Sonoma County has received close to 11 inches of rain and had the second wettest day in a 24-hour period on record. Forecasters warned the risk of flash flooding and rock slides would continue until next Monday. A rarely seen painting by Italian master Caravaggio is on a public display for the first time in Rome. The portrait of Maffeo Barberini, depicting the future Pope Urban VIII, has been hailed as an exceptional work by scholars. The exhibition offers a rare opportunity to view this private collection masterpiece. Nearly 500 miners in Turkey have locked themselves in a coal mine near Ankara to protest against privatization plans. The workers at the Kayırham mine vow to continue their sit-in until the project is scrapped. Union representatives emphasize their resolve to protect jobs. French food banks mark 40 years of serving those in need with their annual donation drive. Organizers aim to collect essential supplies for the increasing number of struggling citizens. A recent report highlighted that 10% of French people face food insecurity. The Vatican installed a 29-meter tall alpine tree in St. Peter's Square for Christmas festivities. The tree, which weighs 5 tons, has sparked controversy, with some environmental groups opposing its cutting and ordering its removal. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Indian Army Chief General Dwivedi calls on Nepal's Prime Minister KP Oli. 55th edition of IFFI is underway in Goa. Australia is taking centre stage at the festival. And in sports, Netherlands script history as their tennis team reaches the first Davis Cup final.
Goa, a food paradise, both steeped in historical culinary tradition and at the forefront of a modern-day food revolution that is fresher, more local, and more global than ever before. I'm embarking on a journey across the state to explore the very best of food here.
This is honestly my favorite way to eat an egg.
Break bread with some of Goa's most loved chefs and understand what food really means to communities here. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Live with me, Munmun Bhattacharya. The counting of votes for assembly elections in East India's Jharkhand and the western state of Maharashtra will begin at 8 a.m. local time in India. Maharashtra went to polls in a single phase on the 20th of November and reported over 65% of voting, which is the highest in the last 30 years. The stakes are high for both BJP-led ruling Mahayuti Alliance and the Congress-led coalition Mahavikas Aghadi. In Jharkhand, polling for 81 assembly seats was conducted in 2 phases on 13th and 20th of November. Over 68.45% voting was recorded in the state. This election is critical for both the ruling Jharkhand Mukti Morcha or JMM-led alliance and the BJP as well. The current JMM government, led by Chief Minister Hemant Soren, aims to retain power, while the BJP is focused on reclaiming its position after losing in 2019. Along with these states, the counting of votes for by-polls of 48 assembly constituencies and 2 parliamentary constituencies will also be held. India's Chief of Army Staff, General Upendra Dwivedi, during his 5-day-long visit to Nepal, called on Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Oli, and Defence Minister of Nepal, Manbir Rai, and discussed various aspects of unique and close bilateral defence cooperation between India and Nepal. PM Oli expressed happiness over the continuity of the exchange of conferring the title of Honorary General to the Chief of Army Staff of India, and the same being reciprocated with Nepal as a welcome tradition. On the occasion, General Dwivedi expressed belief that he would play his part for the expansion of bilateral relations. Over the years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has transformed India's foreign diplomacy into a vibrant display of cultural diversity. In his recent visit to Nigeria, Brazil and Guyana, PM Modi carried with him unique gifts from all corners of the country. Some of them include a Silofar Panchamrit Kalash or pot, which depicts traditional craftsmanship from Kolhapur, Maharashtra, to Nigerian President. Worli paintings a tribal art form originating from the Varli tribe, primarily located in Maharashtra, was given to the President of Brazil and also as one of gifts in the customized gift hamper to leaders of CARICOM countries. A natural rough amethyst with silver camel head on top from Pune was given to Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese. Australia is the focus country this time in the 55th edition of IFFI, and many Australian films are getting premiered this time at the event. DD India's Deepika gets you an exclusive report from Goa on the country of focus and how Australian filmmakers are taking this as an opportunity for themselves.
The 55th edition of International Film Festival of India has a strong emphasis on sharing cinema with the world. And this time, the country of focus is Australia. Speaking on being the country of focus, Australian film director Tom McKeith shared his views on how this will provide a perfect opportunity to the Australian cinema.
Look, there's a big Indian population in Australia, and we watch quite a lot of Indian films in our country as well as American films as well. And I think the big opportunity for us, because we're a small country with a small market, is an opportunity to reach a larger audience. And if we can create films that can appeal to both countries, then that's certainly a benefit to Australians and to filmmakers, because we have the opportunity to share our stories with a wider audience. So I think that's a really exciting thing, and why I think collaboration between the two countries really makes sense and could be of value to everybody.
IFFI celebrating Australian cinema, highlighting the growing connections between India and Australia as both the nations continue to strengthen their cultural and screen industry ties. The Australian delegation includes key industry leaders from Screen Australia, Ozfilm, Screen Producers Australia, and a host of filmmakers, producers and creatives who are participating in the Film Bazaar and IFFI screenings. IFFI provides a perfect platform to the Indian cinema that allows them to connect with the world cinema and vice versa.
India happens to be the country of focus, this time at the 55th edition of IFFI. With camera person Alok, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
The Ministry of Culture, along with the Sangeet Natak Academy, today presented the prestigious Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar for 2022 and 2023 in New Delhi. The event celebrated young talent in performing arts, including music, dance and folk traditions. Here's a report.
The Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar, an initiative by Sangeet Natak Academy, honors exceptional young performers in music, dance and theatre. This year, the awards were given to artists from across India, with a special emphasis on folk traditions. The awards aims to encourage young talent to preserve and promote traditional art forms while adapting them for contemporary relevance.
Right from when this award was declared till today, when the ceremony took place, it has been a beautiful experience. There have been butterflies in the tummy all this time. There is all these years that we strive to work on our craft and learn the art and practice it, and when it is recognized at such a beautiful national level in this gorgeous place, it just gives you a lot of happiness. There's also a lot of responsibility that since this has been recognized, we have to work harder.
I must say I'm very humbled, and it's one of that rare moments that will stay with me forever. And to receive such a prestigious award is like a dream come true for me.
This had been a wonderful experience. You can say till date it's a lifetime experience. Getting an award, getting such honor and from such an academy is an asset for lifetime.
The event not only honored young talent but also stood as a testament to India's vibrant cultural heritage, inspiring future generations to uphold these traditions. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
In business news, discussions related to the third review of the International Monetary Fund or IMF program successfully concluded in Sri Lanka on Friday. The final meeting was held at the Presidential Secretariat. It involved a delegation from the IMF led by Senior Mission Chief Peter Brewer and a Sri Lankan government delegation headed by Deputy Minister of Economic Development. Professor Anil Jayanta Fernando. The IMF team is visiting Sri Lanka to assess economic policies, progress on ongoing reforms and implementation of previous governments. The global lender is expected to release the next installment of the loan worth $330 million to Sri Lanka. Market updates now. Wall Street closed higher on Friday with all three major indexes posting weekly gains as investors took comfort from data pointing to robust economic activity in the world's biggest economy. A measure of business activity raised to a 31-month high in November, boosted by hopes for lower interest rates and more business-friendly policies from President-elect Donald Trump's administration next year. The S&P 500 gained 20.63 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 31.23 points. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also rose 426.16 points. On to sports news now. The Indian cricket team will look to continue with the same comeback momentum when they face Australia on the second day of the Perth Test. Earlier on day one, India's stand-in captain Jasprit Bumrah stole the show with the ball as Australia ended the day teetering at 67 for 7. Earlier, India got bowled out for 150 at the grassy and bouncy Perth Stadium pitch and claimed 17 wickets on the opening day of the first Test. Bumrah took 4 wickets while Mohammad Siraj took 2 wickets. Debutant Harshit Rana also chipped in with his maiden Test wicket by cleaning up Travis Head. The Netherlands made history as they reached the Davis Cup final for the first time after beating Germany 2-0 on Friday. Singles wins for Botic van de Zatschulp and Talen Griekspoor sparked a party among the orange-clad Dutch fans inside the Jose Maria Martin Carpena Arena, and they will now face either defending champions Italy or Australia in Sunday's final. Van de Zandschulp, the player who ended Spanish great Rafael Nadal's career on Tuesday, held his nerve to beat Daniel Altmaier 6-4, 6-7, 6-3. Talen Griekspoor fought back against Germany's Jan-Lennart Struff to win his singles match and seal the decisive win with his 25th ace. A winter storm brought first snowfall to parts of New Jersey and Pennsylvania on Friday. A video from the region showed treacherous road conditions and homes and buildings covered in snow. The first snowfall of the winter season, however, prompted schools and businesses to close throughout the region. That's it then in this edition of DD India Live. But do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India. Also, don't forget to tune in at 8 a.m. India time for all the latest updates on the counting of Jharkhand and Maharashtra Assembly elections, particularly on DD India. We'll get you all that matters, the most comprehensive and in-depth analysis here on DD India starting 8 a.m. India time on DD India. Stay tuned.